Welcome to Valentine Art Studio. My name is Robinsunne. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video so that it gets out and about some more. So we were talking in my last video about making, this is going to be a Valentine book specifically, but you can make this at any time of the year with any kind of a specific focus. But this is basically about, I think it's closer to 5 inches actually. Well, 4.5 inches by 5.5 inches. It's measured so that it is about 1/4 of an 8.5 by 11 inch paper. And I think we talked last time about designing the papers so that they were 8.5 inches wide and half of the 11-inch height of a piece of office paper, so 5.5 inches tall. And then I designed them all so that I could fold them in half and make these little 4.25 by 5.5 inch pages. So in today's video, I would like to talk to you about setting oneself up for happy designing of papers. And the measurements won't fit exactly if you are in a country that uses the metric systems and have A4 paper, but it's the same general idea, even though you're going to have to tweak the measurements a bit. But we're taking a piece of office paper and, well, let's show you on this one, and designing it so that this is going to be one of the papers in the book, and the bottom half of the paper is going to be the other page. So I'm going to cut this in half to make 2 pages. And with all my papers, I designed 7 different pages for this book. So I print one side of the paper, and then I take another one of these pages. There are actually 2 papers in here. And I print the back side with another one of these papers, and I mix it all up so that we get a whole bunch of different pages. So while we're sort of talking about the papers and not the cards, I want to go over both of those in this video. But the first thing I do when I'm designing papers is I make myself a template paper first. And I measure 1/4 of an inch all the way around the paper. Because, you know, when you print stuff on your printer, very, very often, you get this little, I mean, unless your copier happens to have a button to press to get you to a place where you print all the way to the edge. I was trying to remember if I print, I don't know, press some button, that means I should have gone and looked before I did this, but it's probably different on every printer. I have an Epson, and if I click when you load the paper drawer with paper and close it, it always says what kind of paper did you put in. And if I press, I don't know if it specifies whether it's glossy or matte, but basically photo quality paper, or a high quality print like you would want if you were printing a photograph. But even if I'm not printing a photograph, if I click that button, and it's basically for fancy paper. So I can put regular paper in. But if I click it that it's for fancy paper, it will print all the way to the edge of the paper. But the risk we run is that as the paper goes through the machine, if my drawing comes all the way to the edge and I don't allow it to have a little white space gripper, that means that potentially some ink is getting on the rollers in the printer, which is not a great idea. So I do that sometimes when I've got something I'm printing in color on fancy paper and it means something to me. But when I'm designing the paper and I'm putting it in a book where having a little gripper around the edge is not a problem at all. I mean, I don't know that I'd want my writing lines to go all the way to the edge of the paper. And here, what if I missed by a little bit? Then part of the design would be completely off the paper. So I like to, when I'm designing my own papers, I like to put this 1/4 of an inch. You could probably do it with 1/8 of an inch. But I think it works pretty well for these papers if I have 1/4 of an inch. So when I put this on a light box, or if you don't have a light box, you can put this, tape it to your window during the daytime, and the sunlight outside will act like a light box. So this is the first page that goes down on my light box or my window. And it's got a little gripper around the edge. That's what they call it, gripper. And then because I'm dividing these pieces of paper in half, I also made a line down the middle. That's not these two lines, it's that center line. And that tells me where I'm going to end up cutting my paper. And then because I've got gripper around 3 sides, if we're looking just at this lower half, and my paper will stop right there. Because I've got gripper on these 3 sides, I measure out another 1/4 of an inch to give me, kind of fake gripper here. And I did that for the top too. So that each paper after the cut will have some white space around the edges. Now, sometimes when I am drawing new papers, I will put grippers down the center too. And the reason is, if I don't, I'm bringing this line all the way to the center. And when you are writing in your book, see how there's a little bend right here? So starting, you almost have to turn your pencil a little bit to get in to start writing that close to the spine. So I often don't. This picture does fall off the page, but, and I'll show you later, when I designed it, this particular page, I drew all the way to the bottom. And I knew it was going to fall off that side of the page, and that was okay with me. So, okay, so we've talked about all the grippers. Then I also drew a line across the middle and a line if this is one of the pages, right? So we take this page and we fold it in half for the book. Also right here, because I was trying to line up, I made these paper cuts and traced them on the light box, and I wanted to make sure that I was putting the paper cut exactly in the middle of what would end up as the page in one of these books. So there we go. This actually is not a good example because there's the gripper for the side of the page, and this one came all the way to the middle. But this one I planned actually to be kind of a paper that I would see like in the middle of a signature, so you see the whole thing. And here, this line got me set up so that it's actually a little bit closer to the spine edge and a little bit further away from the gripper, but it works out okay. And there's that center one. Here's an interesting division. Whoops, not that one. Not that one, this one. So here are all my lines that I set up, and here is the what this lets me do is know where the fold in the paper is going to be, so I don't have like part of this image coming over into the page on the other side of the signature. And you can see right here, I think if we don't have too much glare, there's my 1/4 inch gripper, and I know that's kind of a lot, so this almost goes a little into the gripper space, but actually the real gripper is only about 1/8 of an inch. So that worked out okay. And knowing where, I'll make sure you can see this, knowing where that center line is going to be, I knew that I couldn't pass that with the bird's wing there. This one, I might have actually come a little close. So there's the line down the center of the page, and when I was drawing this frame, I knew on the light box exactly where to draw to keep this inside the printable areas. And this is my, sort of fake orange slice. And this came out right pretty much exactly at 5.5 inches. So I cut right at the bottom. But you'll see it's on the paper. I'm not actually, it's not getting into gripper space. And you'll see where I drew the my little orange slice. I do go off the page, and I knew it was going to cut some of that off, and it did, and I'm okay with that. So I think that's everything you need to know. So you make yourself a template, a plan for how you're going to cut your pages, where you're going to cut your pages. If you were making you know what? If you were making a traveler's notebook kind of book, and you wanted to design your own pages to be that traveler's notebook, they're like this. The real traveler's notebook. Let me show you. What I'm saying is you can design any size of paper you want. All you have to know is what you want. A traveler's notebook takes A4 paper and actually it squares a piece of A4 paper. So that means there's a square of, and you can do this with A4 paper in centimeter metric countries. You can also do it with 8.5 by 11 papers here in imperial measurements in the United States. So you just do a triangle on your template page, and you figure out 8.5 by 8.5, or you can use a ruler. And then what we do for the traveler's notebook sized book, like this one, you can see I did that, is we just fold that 8.5 by 8.5 in half. So this is the design I want. So if I was making a template for half of a page, I draw the line there. If I'm making the template for a traveler's notebook sized, I draw the line down here. Ta-da! So the book that you design can be any size. It can be little, it can be bigger, it can be all the way. Depends what you're making. Let's see. So that's the paper. When I was designing the cards, we talked about this last time, I did the same kind of template for my light box. So I drew 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So I wasn't drawing the card outside of where I knew it would print. So this is my drawing. And I've got this blank space all the way around the edge because I know it's not going to print there. So don't draw your cards there. And then I carefully measured and divvied everything up the way I wanted. And then I I think I measured this, or maybe I cut a little triangle and I took the triangle and I put it here and I drew a line and I flipped it over and put it here and drew the line and I put it, so yeah. And then I told you last time that when I draw, I leave a little space right there in between, and you can see that there's a space in between the two tags. And that lets me cut out the tag. And if I drew it like this and actually drew both lines right on the line, then this stuff is going to have a black line around it, but then it's going to be, I'll cut it off on one card or the other. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I draw inside the line to give a little space so that when I'm cutting, I get this black line defining the outside of the card on every card. And yeah, I just think that makes it look kind of like I meant to draw the card. Exactly the way I drew it. So, there we go. Yeah, so we make our templates. And we put this on top of our light box or tape it to the window, whichever method you use. And then we take a blank piece of paper and put it over the top. And if I had a light on underneath, you'd be able to see that. And then if you want to trace something that you've cut or that you drew on another piece of paper and you really like that drawing and don't think you can copy it perfectly from there to here, what you do is, oh, I know what I can show you with, because I use this with paper cuts all the time. If I have a paper cut and I really like it and I want to copy it for coloring, and I did this, wait a sec, on this one a lot. Sorry, get rid of some things. There, so you can see this. So let's say I wanted to have one paper cut there and one paper cut up there. So I would, measure, I'd put a line down the middle. So I knew exactly where I wanted it. And then I take my blank sheet of paper and put that over the top. And then light box. And they moved because lots of times I'll use a little tiny piece of, washi tape or something. And I'll kind of tape down two corners, and I can see through this with the light box. So then I know where, and then I can draw, I know where I'm going, and I can draw around and make, I can make these coloring pages for my papers. Ta-da! So I think I have shown you just about everything I wanted to show you to get you going. To design your papers. I wish you very happy. You can, as I said, you can design a book for Valentine's Day. You can design a book for St. Patrick's Day, for a religious holiday, for a national holiday, for somebody's birthday, for, it would be cute if you work in an office and somebody's retiring or moving to a new job and they have been a beloved coworker. You could make a little book like this and then everybody could sign a page. It's a big office, I guess. So you can design this for anything you want and any time of year you want, any purpose. You can use colors that mean a lot. If somebody's graduating from a school and they've got school colors, you could design the book with those school colors, holiday colors, somebody's favorite color for a birthday book, whatever you like. And all this information is kind of interchangeable for whatever kind of book you would like to make. When we meet next time, which will be in 5 days, we will talk about the covers and how we make that. I have one kind of cover that uses a 12 by 12 piece of paper or a lightweight cardstock. If you have a heavyweight cardstock, I have a slightly different pattern, and I'll show you that. And if you want to use just plain cardstock, I'll show you that pattern. And all of those patterns differ just a little bit. But anyway, I'll show you that next time. And then I will send you on your way to make your own cute little books. And again, just because I have made a book that uses a quarter of a sheet of paper, there's no reason why you can't use a lot of these ideas if you wanted to make like a traveler's notebook kind of journal. But this one has a wrap with magnets, which make me laugh. So I wish your creative juices to flow, and I wish you a lot of joyful time in your studio. And I was listening to a famous woman in Maine. Her name is Deb Sewell, and she's an herbalist who lives not too far from me. She was commemorated in an art book that's traveling around the state of Maine at the moment. And I was listening because I got reconnected with her and the work she does through the book. I listened to a little bit of an interview she gave on YouTube, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it below if I can dig it up. But she talked about before she goes to collect herbs, she has a little prayer time, an intention time, a coming together time with the plant, in honor and in gratitude for the work that the plant has done and will do for humans, and other beings. And I like that idea about her, like, saying a little prayer. So I thought it would be really cool if I started saying a little prayer for the work that I do in my studio every day. And of course, I forgot to do that this morning. But may we all know what we're grateful for when we start our work in our studios, and may we feel really, I heard a new word, satisfied, about how we feel in our studios. May you feel satisfied in your studio. And, if you want to make that into a little vocal prayer, that's cool too. So, happy colors, and I will see you in 5 days. Bye.